Hello, welcome to the channel, so let's get started. Have you ever noticed that some people seem to carry something different? It's not just charisma, nor is it mere luck. There's something almost invisible about them. A light, a glow that no one can dim. These people are the chosen ones, men and women who, from an early age, face immense challenges. Battles that seem impossible, yet somehow always find the strength to rise and keep moving forward. What many don't understand is that opposing a chosen one is not the same as challenging an ordinary person. When someone rises against them, they are, in fact, challenging something far greater, their destiny. And destiny, sooner or later, always finds a way to triumph. The enemies of the chosen ones discover this in the most painful way possible. They begin to experience strange consequences, unexplained disturbances, and terrifying events that seem to follow them everywhere. It's as if an invisible force places increasingly heavier obstacles before them, until the only option left is to recognize the truth. There is something supernatural at play, and that's exactly what we are going to talk about today. The 9 shocking things that happen to the enemies of the chosen ones. Get ready, because you'll realize that challenging those who carry the light is not just a bad idea, it's a sentence of downfall. Before we continue, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell, because here you will always find content that opens your mind and makes you reflect on truths few dare to speak about. And comment below a powerful affirmation. Nothing can stop what God has already chosen. Write it in the comments to seal this message in your life and show that you also believe in the power of destiny. When we talk about the chosen ones, many imagine something distant, almost like a legend. But the truth is, they are among us. Ordinary-looking people who carry a subtle difference, an invisible mark that only the observant can notice. This mark is not crafted by human hands, nor can it be earned through effort or wealth. It is placed there by something greater, a divine force that has already determined the path this person will walk. And this is precisely what makes everything so intriguing. The chosen ones are not perfect. They are not people who never fall or never make mistakes. On the contrary, they often seem the most tested, the most persecuted, the ones facing battles no one can even imagine. Yet amid it all, there is always one remarkable truth. They always rise again. The greater the fall, the higher they soar. The greater the trial, the stronger the victory. This is the true mark of destiny. No matter who tries to interfere, no matter how many traps are set along the way, the chosen one carries a kind of invisible shield. It's as if the universe itself moves to ensure they reach exactly where they are meant to go. And this is where the story starts to become frightening for their enemies. Fighting an ordinary person may bring temporary results, but when someone tries to destroy a chosen one, they are unknowingly waging war against what has already been decreed from above. It's like trying to block the sun with your hands or trap the wind inside a jar. Simply impossible. This mark reveals itself in many ways. Sometimes it's in the ability to rise again after a loss that would crush anyone else. Sometimes it's in the unexpected doors that open at exactly the right moment, or in the way. Certain people appear in their lives to help without asking for anything in return. All of this shows that a higher purpose is at work. And that is why enemies feel such immense weight. While trying to sabotage or weaken the chosen one, they discover they are facing something that goes far beyond the physical. They are challenging destiny itself. And when you fight destiny, the outcome is never favorable. One of the first signs enemies of the chosen ones experience is a deep disturbance in the mind and heart. It's as if peace is being torn from within them. At first, it may seem small, a discomfort, an unexplained anxiety, or a difficulty relaxing. But over time, it grows into an ever heavier burden. Their consciousness becomes a battlefield. The enemy may try to live normally, work, smile, pretend everything is fine, but inside, they cannot silence that voice tormenting them day and night. Sleep stops being rest and becomes unrest. Many begin to suffer from insomnia, nightmares, or wake up with a heavy pressure on their chest, as if some invisible force is demanding a price. Interestingly, the more someone resists, the stronger this disturbance becomes. It's as if the mind knows something is wrong, that messing with someone marked by destiny is like playing with fire. This heavy consciousness becomes a prison without walls. No matter where the person goes, they carry this torment with them. What's most terrifying is that this doesn't depend on the enemy's faith or beliefs. Even those who claim to believe in nothing spiritual eventually find themselves powerless against it. Enemies of the chosen ones begin to experience a deep discomfort, an inexplicable anguish. But make no mistake, this is not just psychological, it is spiritual. It is the invisible response to an action that goes against what has already been decreed. Many enemies try to distract themselves. They bury themselves in work, parties, addictions, or anything that numbs the mind. But no distraction is strong enough to silence this unease. When consciousness is awakened, there is no escape. Sooner or later, the disturbance becomes unbearable, and they feel as if they are paying the price for standing against someone who carries the mark of destiny. This is only the first step in their downfall. The enemy loses their inner peace, and when the mind is consumed by torment, the rest of life begins to crumble. Once inner peace is gone, and the enemy's mind is constantly haunted, something curious begins to happen. Life becomes marked by a series of small setbacks. At first glance, they may seem like coincidences or simple bad luck, but over time, a terrifying pattern emerges. It starts subtly. An important meeting cancelled at the last minute, money that should arrive but is delayed, a cherished object that breaks for no reason, a seemingly perfect plan that fails in execution. To an outside observer, it might not seem like much, but for the one living it day after day, it feels as though an invisible force is working against every detail of their life. These small stumbles do not come alone. They carry enormous psychological weight. Each failure, every closed door, every detail that goes wrong intensifies frustration and helplessness. It is as if the enemy is trying to advance on ground that constantly turns into quicksand. The harder they struggle, the deeper they sink. And this is the point. Nothing happens by chance. These minor setbacks are like warning signs, silent reminders that fighting a chosen one is not merely a bad choice, it is a fatal mistake. The enemy tries to find logical explanations. They blame bad luck, blame others, or search for reasons, but deep down there is a persistent unease, a feeling that something greater is intervening. The most striking part, these challenges do not stop. On the contrary, they multiply and accumulate. Situations that would normally be simple to resolve suddenly become complicated. What was once easy now transforms into an enormous challenge, reshaping the enemy's life entirely. There is always one missing piece. These setbacks are just the beginning of a much larger process. It's like a storm that starts with a few drops of rain. What seems small and harmless at first soon transforms into a flood that no one can control. In the beginning, it might have seemed like a series of minor misfortunes and unexpected inconveniences. But over time, the situation for the enemies of the chosen ones becomes far heavier. What were once small stumbles now turn into painful falls. It's as if every detail of life begins to conspire against them. Important business ventures fail unexpectedly. Personal relationships that once seemed solid begin to crumble for no apparent reason. Long-term plans collapse amidst errors that were never part of the equation. Even health, which once seemed unshakable, starts to show signs of weakness. as if the body itself is carrying the weight of opposing destiny. This is the moment when enemies notice something even more unsettling. Nothing they do seems enough to regain control. They try new strategies, look for shortcuts, do everything possible to fix their lives, but with every attempt, results slip through their fingers like sand. The harder they struggle, the more life seems to close in on them. And this is not just about material losses. There is a feeling of an invisible blockade, as if every door is being locked one by one. What once flowed naturally now gets stuck at every step. Invitations stop coming. Opportunities vanish. Trusted people drift away without explanation. It is a silent collapse that grows until it can no longer be ignored. These misfortunes are not coincidences. They are a reflection of an unchanging principle. Whoever rises against the chosen one rises against the very force that sustains them. And no one can win a battle against what has already been decreed from above. The most terrifying part, by this point, enemies are no longer only dealing with external problems. They begin to carry the weight of feeling pursued, as if a shadow is always lurking, reminding them that challenging someone who carries the light is walking straight into darkness. And it is precisely in this chaotic scenario that the next consequence arises: isolation. Even their closest allies begin to distance themselves, leaving the enemy alone amid their own collapse. Once the mind is disturbed and misfortunes begin to multiply, isolation becomes inevitable. It's as if, all of a sudden, those who challenge the chosen ones gradually find themselves isolated and vulnerable. Friends, family, and colleagues drift away, leaving the enemy alone. This loneliness is not random. It reflects the spiritual weight surrounding the chosen one. As isolation grows, the enemy's mind becomes a battlefield, and their inner strength proves insufficient against the mark of destiny. This mental burden soon manifests physically as what many call an invisible illness, chronic fatigue, unexplained pains, insomnia, anxiety, and a heavy sense of pressure. Even medical treatments often fail, as the true source is spiritual and beyond ordinary understanding. Challenging someone chosen by destiny triggers consequences that are psychological, physical, and spiritual, demonstrating that opposing the chosen ones is not only dangerous, it is impossible to escape. There is a force beyond the physical at work. The enemy of the chosen one experiences spiritual, mental, and physical consequences. Their energy is drained, vitality fades, and emotional crises take hold. This leads to the shattering of pride. Their arrogance and sense of control collapse. Once mighty enemies, no one can rise against those who carry the light of divine choice. Slowly, step by step, the illusion of power begins to crumble. The enemy, who once seemed invincible, becomes an example of weakness and downfall. Pride is replaced by shame, and the once bold voice that challenged the chosen ones falls into forced silence. But there is something even darker awaiting those who defy destiny. The final verdict, the undeniable proof that no one can triumph against what has already been decreed by heaven. After so much torment, the disturbed mind, the growing setbacks, the isolation, the invisible illness, and the humiliation, the inevitable moment arrives, the final verdict. This is when the enemy sees clearly and inescapably that fighting the chosen ones is not only dangerous, it is futile. Everything done against them returns as a direct reflection of the enemy's own struggle. Nothing built with pride, strength, or cunning can withstand the greater force protecting the chosen one. Doors that once seemed open close forever. Control that felt firm slips away like water through fingers. Life, which once seemed manipulable, becomes a labyrinth with no exit. It is the moment of absolute realization. Destiny always prevails. Every setback, every loss, every pain and isolation were not random punishments. They were inevitable consequences of defying something greater. And this understanding, though painful, is absolute. There is no escape, no deception, no way to change it. The final verdict is a profound lesson. Those who rise against the chosen ones, against those marked by light and purpose, face the weight of fighting destiny itself. It is a price that no pride, strategy, or human strength can ever pay. And so the cycle completes. While the chosen ones remain steadfast, guided by their purpose and divine protection, their enemies find themselves defeated, a reminder that some battles are simply impossible to win.